is going on, everybody? It is your boy Minster. Back at it with another review, and today we're reviewing the third movie in the Final Destination franchise, that being Final Destination 3. But before we get into the actual beginning of the review itself, guys, if you missed my previous movie reviews, I've done the first review of the first film, of course, and then I've done the second film as well in a review. And I'm doing all this building up to the newest film, which I'm going to be seeing Thursday, and then you should see a full-length review on Friday, and then it will all be building up to a ranking on Saturday, unless there's enough stuff to talk about for the sixth film where there's spoilers involved. But before we get to actual beginning of the video, what's up, guys? Don't forget to subscribe if you're new channel, because number one, it's absolutely free. Number two, also maybe help with the YouTube algorithm and recommend the video to more people, and maybe they could join this. Yes! And do feel free to comment your thoughts on Final Destination 3 down below. But with that being said, guys, let's get into let's give a quick plot synopsis of the movie, shall we? So transition and choose me.
6 years after a group of high school students first cheated death, another teen has a premonition that she and her friends will be involved in a horrifying roller coaster accident. When the vision proves true, the student and her fellow survivors must deal with the repercussions of cheating the Grim Reaper.
Alright, so going into Final Destination 3, this and the first two films are the only films in this franchise I had seen before. This one is actually the film I saw the least out of the three. I've seen the first and second one 3 times, and I have only seen this one 2 times since I watched it last night, or a night before last night. I know this is a beloved fan favorite. I believe this is most people's, favorite, at least from what I heard. And, this one was definitely interesting for the time, because they added some new things for this film. So, let's just get into the actual beginning of the review itself, shall we? Starting off with a good year, we always start off with a good year for our movie reviews, and number one thing that comes to my mind is the new main protagonist of Wendy, played by Mary Elizabeth Winstead, which I've been a fan of Mary Elizabeth Winstead throughout most of my movie watching days. I knew her in Sky High, which is a Disney classic of mine, probably in my top 10, top 20 favorite Disney movies of all time. Love Sky High. She also was, I've never seen the movie, but I've seen clips of her character. She's in the Black Christmas 2006 remake. And for this one, her character, honestly, is tied for me, if not better, than Alex from the first film. Them two are really neck and neck. I might overall just prefer Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character a little tiny bit over him, just because
I think Alex does get a little too crazy later on in the movie, but still I love him as a character. But in this one, Gwen is a little bit more calmer about things, and you sympathize with her because she's very sad about not getting everyone off the roller coaster.
Along with that comes as well her kind of friend throughout the whole entire movie that she's enduring this with, and that is the new character of Kevin, played by Ryan Merriman, which also, ironically, he was in a couple Disney Channel movies around the same time, so I thought that was kind of a little funny that they were put together in this film. And he's also a really good character. I think these two are probably, for me, the most likable out of all the main protagonists that you want to survive. And which brings me, I was gonna save this for last, but I think this should bring me into this next positive, is that they're developing a relationship throughout the film. So in the beginning of the film, they're both on the roller coaster, and she's able to get her and him off, but his girlfriend is on the roller coaster still, and her boyfriend is still on the roller coaster, and they both end up dying while they are left behind, really, and are having to deal with death's consequences. So, where they start out the film on very rocky terms because Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character is very like depressed and stuff, and Kevin's trying to talk to her about why the death is chasing after them and trying to get across to her that we need to fix this ASAP because if we don't get our act together, we're next. So and then slowly throughout the film they start to become friends and start liking each other, which I think was a very strong relationship throughout the film. So I did enjoy that as well. Another thing in here, I hate to be a broken record, but the kills in the Final Destination franchise continue to deliver here. Whether it's the
nail gun death, the weightlift kill, or the saw kill, or the most famous kill of the movie, the tanning bed kill, it certainly still delivers in this franchise.
Probably 2 and this one, I would say, are tied. No, actually, honestly, this might be the one that has the best kills for me. The most bang for your buck that I remember the most out of 3 films. So, honestly, probably my favorite one that has the most kills. Another thing in here that I thought was very, very interesting, that they added in here. So, with the last 2 films, I was very critical that the premonitions, where, like, you see in the future, oh, somebody's gonna die with something relating to this, okay. With some, like, terrible CGI where you see it in a reflection, I did not like that. But in this one, they do something very, very interesting where, Wendy, Mary Elizabeth Winstead's character, takes pictures of the people at the amusement park before they get onto the roller coaster. And on the pictures, something around that picture is going to relate to how someone dies in the near future. So they got to fix that, which I think truly that's a great little thing that they did instead of doing the premonitions off of windows and reflections and stuff. I thought that worked very much better for the film, and I thought that was very, very creative. Another thing in here is the cast of characters as well. I think the cast of characters as well was quite solid in here. They are caricatures, but this was before caricatures were a little bit out of hand, and we've seen them all the time. So we have the jerk jock character, you have the 2 princesses, if you will, you have the one weird goth couple in there, and overall, yeah, I think the cast of characters in here is also pretty good as well. With that being said, guys, that is the good done. Now let's move on to the mixed aspects of the film, parts of the film where I'm 50-50 on them. And the big one for me is the roller coaster opening. Don't get me wrong, it's a very, very cool setup for the film, which I'll elaborate more on this later, but
it is CGI'd all to heck, and you can definitely tell it is very early 2000s CGI, which is unfortunate because it is a really cool sequence, even though that's still in there.
As for the final mixed aspect I have in here is the story. It is basically the same exact thing as the last 2 movies, so I think out of the 3, this is probably the weakest story, which isn't really a fair comparison, really, because it's basically just the same plot as the original 2 movies, but the first film did it first because it was the first film in this franchise, but the second film has a reveal later on in the movie that death is chasing after them because they were originally supposed to die where the teacher and everybody was supposed to go in the first film. So I thought that was an interesting reveal. And in this one, you don't really get that here, which is a little disappointing. But still, overall, it is just doing the same plot of the movie, which most horror franchises usually do. So it's not terrible. So I have it in the mixed aspects. Now let's move on to the bad, unfortunately. And I have 3. Number 1 is the ending. I have actually been very forgiving on the last 2 movies with their endings. I think the first one has a great ending with how it ends, with Carter supposedly dying off screen. I loved the way they ended that. Second film, I do admit, I still was a little conflicted on because it went a little too... It felt as if, oh, come on, really? But then it makes up for it by having a cliffhanger death just like the last film. However, with this one, I didn't like this one because you don't get a clear sign if everyone dies or not. So, yeah, I think this one definitely, out of the 3 original films, has the weakest ending. Another thing in here is the CGI, and I thought the CGI sometimes didn't look good for the first and second film. This one definitely has the worst CGI. As I mentioned before, the roller coaster sequence, the CGI does not look good at all, unfortunately. And also, there's a couple of kills in here where, don't get me wrong, they still have their practical kills, but they have kills too that involve CGI, like
a death later on in the movie where someone gets crushed by a sign was used by CGI, which I just thought was odd because they used practical effects before. Also, the weightlift kill, even though I do like it, I just wish it was practical, even though it is CGI.
As for the final negative of the movie, and it's pretty much just a minor one, really, that is the relationship between Wendy and her sister, where they basically come together at the end of the film and they're sisters again. But in the beginning part of the movie and like in the middle part of the movie, you don't really get much development with them, where it feels as if later on in the movie that this should be hidden a lot more than it does, but it doesn't. So I just wish they developed that a little bit more, because I think they could have really worked out on that. But then again, that gives time to help develop the relationship between Wendy and Kevin. So, you know what? I'll let it slide. But still, a little nitpick. But with that being said, guys, that is just my thoughts on Final Destination 3. Be sure to let me know your thoughts down below. And with that being said, let's bring out the toxic meter. And I'm going to give this Toxic Goodness a B+. Still a really solid sequel in this franchise, and probably was the last great one in this franchise, because the next film, we'll talk about that. So stay tuned for that. But that is my thoughts, ladies and gentlemen, and I'll see y'all in the next one, everybody. Peace.